Welcome to Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to Soulfully Yours. I'm your host Humaira Naseem. Uh, Today is the second episode of our new series जवानों को पीरों का उस्ताद कर, and we have a very special guest, Dua Farooq, with us. How are you doing, Dua?
I'm good. Hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, so my first question: who is Dua Farooq at soul level?
Well, I think Dua Farooq at a soul level is someone who loves to create, is a vivid reader, and is like keen in like art and crafting and painting. So that's who I think Dua Farooq at a soul level is.
Wonderful, wonderful. As you know, our today's topic for this series is perfection paralysis. So we are going to talk about perfection, the causes of perfection, how to overcome perfection, and how to live a life that is true to ourselves. Okay, Dua. So tell me what is perfection, Dua?
So perfection is like it's something which has no errors. So, as today's topic is perfection paralysis, paralysis is of course like being stuck. So, today we're talking about being stuck because of wanting everything to be perfect. And maybe you've been through this, maybe you're going through perfection paralysis. I have been through perfection paralysis, and it's basically like wanting everything to be perfect when even though nothing is perfect.
Mm-hmm. And when you say nothing is perfect, what do you mean by that?
I mean by that is that everything has an error, small one, big ones, but nothing is like perfect. For example, if you have, for example, like anything like a dishwasher, maybe. Like you're saying, this is very handy, but it's not perfect, of course. We're not perfect because if we were perfect, we could do everything. We couldn't have to sleep. We couldn't have to eat, and that is only those attributes only belong to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala.
Oh, awesome. This was my next question, that if there is the word perfect means there's someone who exists who has perfection, and you have already answered that Allah Ta'ala is the one who is the perfect one, isn't it?
Yes.
Wow, that is beautiful. So, Dua, tell me, we know that we cannot be perfect. There would always be a room for improvement. Whatever we are going to do, our first attempt would be better. Our second attempt would be better than the first one,
Yes.
isn't it? And it's a continuous work in progress. Then, despite that, what do you think? What makes us all fall into this trap of perfection?
So I think the reason some people become perfectionists is because of society, the pressure that we get. And sometimes that pressure is not real. It's just an imaginary weight on your shoulders. So sometimes we feel the need to be perfect to impress people, to be accepted in society. But if you'll always like, if you're in like perfection paralysis, then you're always gonna be like, look at that person, they're always perfect, their life is perfect. But the thing is, no one's life is perfect, no one is perfect except Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So I think the main reason we have the desire to be perfect is because we want to impress people, we want to be accepted, we want to be normal. So I think that's the reason why.
So, as you're talking about expectations, what kind of expectations, though?
So expectations, like you may think like expectations, everyone has certain expectations from you, big or small, but sometimes you in your head, you always have this unreal expectation from yourself, or an expectation that you think someone else has from you. Like, they expect you to be like this, but in real, they don't. It's just you in your head being like, I need to be like this, I need to be like that, when no one is putting that weight on your shoulders that you need to be like this.
Mhm. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm impressed by the idea that you're saying that there's something going on in our head
Mhm.
and it's telling you to be a certain way, and that's our expectations from our own
Yeah,
selves.
that's kind of like hypnotizing.
Mhm.
In like my free time, I've been like being on YouTube, and I've seen like hypnotizing videos. And the thing is, when people see it or that happens to them, they're gonna be like, "Wow, how did that happen?" But the real thing is that hypnotizing, it's kind of like a dream. But like, if someone hypnotizes you, you're believing every single word they say. So if they say that if they say that you can't remember your own name, then you're going to be so focused that, and you're going to believe them that you can't remember your name. And that's how hypnotizing works. And it's kind of the same way for this, that you're telling yourself constantly, and you're believing yourself that you need to be perfect, you need to be a certain way. And sometimes it's not you that you need to be perfect, it's sometimes that you need to make other things perfect. Like, for example, if you're like writing something, for example, in like a notebook, and you make a mistake, like a spelling mistake, and you're gonna be like, scrap this, I'm just gonna restart because I made this small spelling mistake. Like, you made an A instead of a U. Like, that happens to everyone sometimes. So, like, perfection paralysis is not that like.
But wonderful. I mean, Dua, the example of hypnotizing, and you have, I'm impressed that you have used that example of hypnotize. Your brain get hypnotized, and you just go and
Mhm.
you hear that, keep on hearing those voices, and just you are in that
Mhm.
zone all the time.
Yes.
That's a beautiful, beautiful example, Dua. Having said so, you gave the example of spelling mistakes, right? So just it just came to me that if we are going to, if we make spelling mistakes, isn't it this a way that people read things, right? If everybody is going to be like making spelling mistakes all the time, would that be a readable content?
Yes.
How?
Uh, so if you make a spelling mistake, you can cross it out. You can rewrite it like on top of it or next to it, so it can still be readable.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That if everybody starts making spelling mistakes,
Or like small mistakes.
okay. So small mistakes. Yeah. So this is cool though. This is something good that we can make mistakes and we can give ourselves the permission to make mistakes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what you meant.
Yeah, because like, if you are in a state that you think you need to be perfect, and you're stuck, then a way to overcome that like state of mind is like to like allow yourself to make mistakes and accept yourself, and accept and understand the fact that nothing is perfect. But like, sometimes you get caught up on like social media, maybe, that you're saying that like they're perfect, this is perfect, but it's actually not that way.
What's the real story then? If you if we just get on social media, we see things and we think that the world is so perfect. How can we then get out of this mindset? Because we'll always get down when we live in a relative world. When we'll compare ourselves, we'll say,
Mhm.
oh, our life is stuck, and see, this is perfection here. So how can you overcome this kind of uh, feeling?
I think like we get into perfection paralysis and like that like state of mind by looking at negative, like looking at the negative side, not looking at the positive side. Because if we go over social media or any like sort of application, then when you see people being perfect, then you'll when you compare yourself to them, you're gonna be like, well, look at me, I'm like this, they're like that. But that's not a correct comparison, because because you're comparing what good they have, but you're comparing the negative you have. But I think that's wrong, right?
Yeah.
You should be comparing what good you have and like if you and what other people have, because it like in that state of mind, if you go through social media, you're gonna be like that. It's like not gonna be a correct comparison.
Mm-hmm. But is there any need to compare? What is the purpose of comparison? There's, if it exists, it should have a purpose, right?
Yes, everything has a purpose. So sometimes comparison, like it's not negative, it's not a bad thing. Comparison in a good way could be to compare something to another thing to find answers.
Wonderful. Like?
And I'm saying that like in a very deep way, but the reason I'm saying that is like I'm tying that to a project I did in FS
Okay.
when I was like 6 years old, maybe less, I think. And we had to do a project comparing things. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I remember that I had two colors of green. There was one lighter green and one darker green. So if I looked at the lighter green against a lighter, like a green lighter than that lighter green, but wait, that's the darker one. But if I put the darker one next to that, wait, that's the darker one. I'm hoping this makes sense.
It is. It is making. It's making a lot of sense actually
Mhm.
when you say that in order to find answers, comparisons are so useful.
Mhm.
And I believe if we are not going to compare, we cannot learn,
Yes.
because all our learning is dependent upon comparison,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Even we cannot measure, we cannot measure a stick, or we cannot measure a cloth unless we compare it to the stick placed in the Paris Museum, right?
Yes.
So we cannot operate in this world if we are not doing comparisons.
Yes.
But we need to understand the context where they are healthy and where they are needed.
Mhm.
Wonderful, Dua. Anything that you would like to add?
So I don't have anything to add, but just to sum up this about comparison, because comparison nowadays in like modern society, it is it is being done wrongly, like it's being done incorrectly. So like comparison is a good thing. It can also be a bad thing if we don't use it properly. Just like any materialistic thing, if you don't use a computer properly, then it will break or not work. So it's kind of the same thing with comparison. And we need to learn to, like, if we are comparing something, which we obviously need to learn to discover, yeah, to like make discoveries, then we need to compare, of course, but we need to learn to compare the right things.
Okay, so the context matters.
Yeah.
And what do you think that if we fall into the trap of wrong comparisons, how can we get out from that trap? What is the one thing that we can practice so as to we look at our positives, as you mentioned that we look at our negatives and we look at somebody else's positives, and that's not the right comparison. So what do you think, what is a healthy practice that we can do in order to overcome this kind of comparison that we don't want in our lives, right?
So what we can do is like every day we can like make like a gratitude jar.
Wow.
by seeing by what we're grateful for, what we're happy for. So that's how you see the positives and the blessings that you have in your life. And that's a way to take away the mindset of perfection, comparison, the negative comparison.
Wow. So making a gratitude jar, or a gratitude journal, or
Yeah.
anything.
You can make it as simple as like writing it down, or just saying it in your mind. You don't have to write it down if that's not how you would prefer it. But you can also get creative. You can get an actual jar. You could put it in a box. You can paint it. You can decorate it if you like to be creative with it.
And dua, as believers, we start our day with a particular dua.
Mhm.
Do you remember that?
The
morning dua.
The morning, yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
Alhamdulillah. I forgot.
Take your
Alhamdulillah
time.
alladhi
Ahyana.
It's on my tip of the tongue, but I don't.
Yeah. Take your time. It always comes. Bada.
بعد ما أماتنا و
إليه النشور.
إليه النشور.
So it is the best practice that we can do is that the moment we wake up, we
Yes.
We start our day with this dua, just like your name, and it could start our day with a very positive mindset, because our mind is where we put our focus, it goes there. So if we will put our focus with the negative things, the things that are missing in our life, we always see. It's just like when you think of a red car, or you have just bought a red car, or a certain model of the car on the roads, you're going to see that particular kind of car all the time, right? So this is how our mind works. It looks whatever goes on in our head all the time. So we're gonna focus on the positives rather than the negatives. We'll see more of the positives in our lives. Wonderful thought.
As you mentioned about like negative mindset, like that's like personally, I also have that seeing the missing, what's missing. So like you should see what you have, what you're grateful for, instead of seeing what's missing. So that's
hold on. Is it something bad?
No, it is. Everything has a good and bad. Nothing is all bad. Nothing is all good. So
what's the good in seeing the missing?
The good in seeing the missing is you can see improvement. Well, you need to improve. If, for example, if you're designing a banner or a poster, and if you and you've designed it, and you see and your mind is like, there's something missing, so that can help you. That can help you, and that can be a positive thing to look at what's missing.
Exactly. Wonderful, Doc. Because as you said, there's nothing good and bad, and seeing the missing also helps us in improving ourselves.
Yes.
Isn't it? Because if you don't know what is missing, how are you going to fix it then? Isn't it? So we talked about perfection. We talked about the causes that perfection, where we fall into this trap. And as you mentioned, that because falling into that trap, we get paralyzed because of perfection.
Yes.
What do you think? How do we get paralyzed because of perfection?
So we get paralyzed by perfection because we want it, like it becomes a habit. Like when something's not perfect, you're gonna be like that, like I need it to be perfect like that. For example, if you have like some if you put something into a specific order, and it's not in that order, then you're gonna be like, oh, I need to fix it. I need to fix it.
There is something
Yeah.
inside
So sometimes you
that
can,
itches you to make
Yeah.
it correct, right?
yeah, and sometimes you can get like it's mainly for like the little things, like I mentioned the example of spelling mistakes. Like if you make a spelling mistake, then you're gonna be like, oh, let's start over. Like, and you're gonna keep getting stuck in that like portal, for example. Like you keep going into that same portal of doing that again and again and again because you're stuck and you want it to be perfect, but it can't be perfect because nothing is perfect.
And like everybody else, I too fall into that perfection trap, and when I do, it is something terrible because I put all my energy, all my heart and soul into something, and it takes a lot of energy
Yes.
to try to be, mistakes free or error free. And what happens then is that you come up with a great work, but then you are so exhausted and you're so burnt out that you lose the consistency. You stop being consistent because you always fall into that trap of making things so perfect that start redoing it again is a nightmare because it requires a lot of energy again to do that. So better to be consistent than to be perfect.
Yes, you need to focus on the purpose and the what was the word? You need to focus on the purpose and the reason you're doing it instead of like for it being perfect.
Okay, and have you covered all the points, Dua?
Yeah.
Can you show what have you written?
Yeah. So
What are the
like activities and exercises you can do.
Okay, tell us what are
Because instead of like because I explained the like things that you can do like in your like
Can you
mentally.
speak in Urdu?
Okay, sure. हाँ, तो जो हम कर सकते हैं like instead of doing it like like in mentally like जैसे हमने बोला कि like words in
आ जाएंगे सोचो.
आएंगे जैसे like positive पर focus करना, that's like mentally, but लेकिन हम ये भी कर सकते हैं like activities and exercises. For example, like हम कर सकते हैं we can do scribbling, like scribble on a piece of paper. क्योंकि that releases like your stress a little bit of being perfect. And scribbling is not going to be perfect all the time, so it can always it's also like it makes you, it like forces you like to be like it's not perfect, but you have to understand that nothing is perfect and you have to like step back and let it slide that it's not perfect. So and another activity you can do is sketching, because sketching is loose and like and it's messy lines and all of that, so it can help you to not like get that line super straight, get that right like motion, so that can also help you to not see everything as perfect. So that's like activities we can
One
do.
thing that I always what I've understood by now is that whenever you see a certain thing as our tradition, we say Subhanallah, which means glory belongs to Allah Ta'ala. What I've understood from this is, Dua, that whatever creations around, whatever we see, it has an element of improvement in it.
Oh yes.
As you mentioned. So if I'm seeing this mic and I'm saying, oh, what a wonderful mic it is, and I say Subhanallah, it means that, it has some element of improvement in it. It's not absolutely perfect.
Yes.
And similarly, if I see something disgusting,
Mhm.
or if I see something which is not good to my eyes, then also I say Subhanallah.
Mhm.
The absolute perfection belongs to Allah Ta'ala.
Yes.
So if I'm seeing something missing inside, or disgusting, or as you mentioned, missing, or the negatives, or those parts that are missing, and when we say Subhanallah, we are affirming ourselves that, no matter how much effort we put in, and no matter how much we do, there will always be something missing.
Yes.
And it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's like if you try to not have something missing, that's just not being true to ourselves. That's not us. That's not human beings. Because human beings are not perfect.
Yeah, yeah, because we have a limited time, energy. We have only 24 hours in a day.
Yes.
We have limited energy. We get exhausted.
Mhm.
So we cannot be 100% all the time.
Yes.
And sometimes we are feeling good, sometimes we are not feeling good, or sometimes we are busy, sometimes we are, we have so many things to do, so we cannot put the same amount of effort
Mhm.
in, you know even as a mom, sometimes I can put effort
Mhm.
raising you, and sometimes I cannot.
Yeah.
So which does not in any way mean that you have some would you like to explain this?
Yeah. So let's say like so as a mother, like you can't like have attention, like have give all the attention to your child or your children, because you have other things to do as well, and you don't have the energy to always be.
Who has the energy?
Yes.
Who is the one who is all present, all seeing, all hearing?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So that is the wrong expectations that we put.
Yes.
From expectations from even from our parents, when we expect that they will always be there for us. That's always is for Allah Ta'ala, right? So even if at a certain point of time, your mom has given you an 100 a good attention span, but it's not necessary that the next time that energy level would be the same, or the time given to that a certain thing would be the same, because we all are human beings in the limited capacity.
And on the same topic, like you're saying that we can't always give energy like to everyone at the exact same time. That's only something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do. So so sometimes like we have the desire to be perfect, is because we put our self-worth to how people treat us, or like how much energy they put with us. So sometimes we have the urge to be perfect because you put your self-worth on someone someone's treatment.
Wonderful. This
So-
is a very good point, though. That sometimes our need for perfection is to be accepted by people.
But that's not the case. If they are not giving you 100%, it's not because of you. It's not because of your self-worth. It can be about what's going on in their life, maybe.
Yeah, what's going on in their life. And this is a wrong link that we make when
Yes.
we try to see our self-worth from the eyes or from the lens of other people.
And
that
that's
is where
like the trap.
That's the trap.
Yes.
Where we fall in. That's beautifully explained, Dua. And having said so, when people are being perfect, they are in a whole they are in a dark place in their life. It's not a good place to be in. So we need to show compassion to
Yes.
those people, and we need to understand from where they are from what place they are coming.
Yes.
It's not that they are because sometimes people think that people, the perfectionists are the people who judge others. That's a very negative perspective of thinking, because perfectionists themselves are in a very dark hole, and
Yes.
they need help rather
Yeah,
than
they feel they have pressure.
judging them for judging you. It's not a right approach. Perfectionists don't judge others. They are self-critical about themselves.
Yes.
So they need compassion and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right, Dua?
Yes.
Would you like to add something?
Yeah, so basically, we like people who are in that like state of mind of being perfect or in perfection paralysis, they aren't self-critical, like very heavily self-critical about themselves. They feel like they have lots of pressure on themselves, and they like you know how you got something like off your shoulders, like you feel light when you've let go of something, or you've told someone something that you've been keeping inside of yourself. So they feel like they have that sort of pressure on them. They feel heavy inside. They feel like they're not accepted. They're not worth.
Yeah, they're not worth.
So they
they're
do
not accepted.
require understanding and compassion.
Yeah. So what is the best way to show compassion to perfectionists?
I think the best way to show compassion to perfectionists is to understand them, understand what they're going through, understand that it's not them just being like, yeah, this needs to be perfect, that needs to be perfect. It's not just that. It's being self-critical. It's being stressing yourself out a lot. So I think the best way to be compassionate to someone in that state is to understand them properly.
Wonderful. I think understanding goes a long way.
Yes, very much.
Wow. That was a wonderful discussion on perfection paralysis, and I hope that it was something beneficial for you all, because this is something that is very common in our society, and many of us fall into this trap of being a perfect child, or having a perfect family, or having a perfect education, or a perfect
student, employee,
perfect employee,
etc.
We don't give acceptance to ourselves because of this disease, and the sooner if we overcome them, sooner the better, because it is, as you mentioned, it's a very heavy baggage to carry on, and the sooner we release it, the better it is.
Because the reality is that people who want to be perfect, they think no one accepts them, but the only person who isn't accepting them is themselves.
Wow, beautiful. So let's accept ourselves. Let's show some compassion to ourselves. Have a nice day. Signing off. Soulfully yours, Humaira Naseem.
Bye.